Hello guys! Before we start our story for today, please do reminded that all the videos, songs, images, and graphics used in this video belong to their respective owners and this channel does not claim any right over them. Thank you. Matthias sat on the couch near the window. He was busy reviewing the documents that had stacked up on the table. Bring the ones that are of duller color, Matthias spoke slowly with his eyes fixed on the papers he was holding in his hands. Again, his lips cracked into a ridiculously tender smile when he stared at Leila. Okay, Sir Duke, Leila said while trying to cope with her accumulated frustration. For Uncle Bill, Leila chanting the magic words and quietly left the annex near the river and headed to the garden. The roses, which he instructed her to cut down moderately, turned out to be the problem. If that's how you're gonna act, why didn't you just tell me what color you wanted in the first place? Instead of spitting out the words she had in mind, Leila vented her anger at the Duke by kicking the stones on the ground. I hate him. The cursing words, something that Leila could never direct at him explicitly, were left behind, along with the stones she deliberately kicked. Despite her lack of interest in the mansion's affairs, Leila was well aware that the separated annex, as well as the river, belonged to Duke Herhart. He didn't have many visitors in his private annex. The number of servants who came and out was also restricted to a few. Leila first assumed it was because of Claudine that he wanted to display the flowers in his annex. Claudine was going to marry him, so there was a possibility she might have started using the annex as well. Knowing Claudine's love for colorful flowers, Leila had cut down the flashy colored roses and brought them to the annex, only to get rejected by him. Still, if there's one thing she can conclude for certain, is that Sir Duke's reputation by the people is actually so much wrong. There is no way someone who torments someone in the middle of the hot summer sun is a good person, right? Leila vocally expressing her dissatisfaction with his utterly unsuitable reputation. She cut the roses with great care once more. To meet the Duke's stressful demands, she decided to pick soft-colored roses this time, the color of roses that she favored. She returned to the annex under the sweltering summer afternoon heat, carrying a basket full of roses. Leila arrived in front of the detached building just when she started to get dizzy from the scorching sun. She ran into the butler and a middle-aged cleaner who were making their way out of the annex. You're working hard, Leila, Hessin said with a smile. Hello. Are you headed somewhere? Leila asked. We have to return to the mansion. Take care, Hessin replied. After voicing her farewells to them, Leila headed to the reception room, where her chest beating anxiously for no reason. Then that means only Sir Duke is at the annex, she stated, when she suddenly stopped because Matthias was still sitting in his chair with his eyes closed and his head cocked back, looking defenseless and languid. Maybe because she always seen him dressed up without a hair out of place, he almost looks like a different person. What do I do? Should I wait him to wake up? In the middle of her reverie, Matthias spontaneously opened his eyes. His matted hair framed his forehead, gently covering it. My lord, I've brought you new roses. Leila slightly lifted her flower-filled basket. Matthias didn't open his mouth. His current get-up made him look much more defenseless and languorous than usual. Should I go back again? Leila asked carefully with her quivering voice. Are you going to go if I tell you to? Matthias asked her back. His voice carried a slight drowsiness. Yes, my lord. If I made another mistake, I'd go, but please let me know what color roses you want this time. Wait. Did I get sunburned? My inner thoughts popped out. It's fine, so sit. Matthias gestured to the chair placed on the opposite side of the table with his eyes. He moved to his stacks of documents littered around the table. Phew, I guess I brought over the colors he wanted this time. No, if my lord is satisfied, I will. Before Leila completed her sentence, Matthias interrupted her and says, Miss Llewellyn, if you're brought over the flowers, wouldn't it be your job to put them in the vase? But my flower arranging skills aren't great. Matthias took a brief glance around the room before turning his eyes back to her. Then, must I do it? Matthias said. Leila had no trouble figuring out what his slight gesture meant. They were the only ones left in this detached building. That's why she had no choice but to do something in which she lacked confidence. Leila took a step forward, a little hesitantly. She carefully sat on the wooden stool in front of the window that faced the river, because the seat opposite the Duke was too arduous for her. After he finished signing the last document he had reviewed, Matias suddenly remembered the bird living in his mansion bedroom. When I looked at that woman, I am subtly reminded of the canary that lives in my bedroom, flailing around on my hands, but becoming quiet as if it was dead after it was moved into the bedroom, had its boundaries broken down and ended up following me as time passed, to the point the saying "it's a difficult bird to tame" becomes meaningless. Now, it jumps onto my hand on its own to rub its body, and locks its eyes and sometimes sings with beautiful sounds. Leila Llewellyn, what about you? Matias asked in his mind, comparing Leila with his bird. The noise of the scissor blade slashing through the fresh flower stem when Leila felt the Duke staring at her intently. Suddenly, Leila remembered the vase and found out it has no water, so she went to the bathroom quietly and filled the vase with water. I'm all done, Sir Duke. Do you like it? Leila hesitantly asked as she brought up the roses-filled vase to him. Her words earlier were quickly proven to be true after her one look at the flower arrangement, which was showing up to be a total failure. It's terrible. Matias' tone was not condescending, but it was a little flat. Leila blinked her eyes in shock, and her face blushed red with embarrassment. I'm sorry. I'll bring in a skilled maid. Sit, Matias said firmly. What? Leila asked, checking if she heard it right. Sit, Leila. As Matias lowered his voice, the atmosphere of the room grew more uncomfortable. His fingers were aiming in the precise direction of the sofa across from him. Leila sat stiffly where he had suggested. Matias then shifted his focus to the dish covered by the silver dome on the coffee table next to the sofa. Eat. Leila opened the dome-shaped cover awkwardly, and she found sandwiches and a glass of lemonade prepared for one person. Matias kept his eyes on the puzzled Leila. Why is she making such perplexed face again? Does she not like the payment for her work? Matias asked himself. Matias remembered when the time she and Kale ate well, smiled well, like sunlight. If she likes mere something like that, he planned to give her a reward fitting her level. The results were terrible, but she worked instead of the gardener. Leila suddenly stand up from her seat and stated, "Thank you, Sir Duke, but I'm okay." He took a sip of the icy whiskey in front of him, remembering the tea she didn't touch when he and Claudine invited her to have tea together at the hotel. If there's nothing else you'd like me to do, I will head back now, Leila continued. Leila. Matias's voice had dwindled to almost a whisper. Leila was stupefied, her eyes flickered in slow motion. Do my words sound like I'm begging you? Matias scoffed with his lips reddened by the whiskey. Thank you for watching. I hope you like this video. Just leave a comment in a section below if you have anything or you don't like that I need to change. See next time.